Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so we are ready and we are live. Are you ready? How are you doing today? Okay, today promises to be a beautiful, beautiful time. Beautiful time. Wow. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Hello, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I see you. You're welcome. Okay. So we have some interesting conversation today, and you would love it, right? Thank you, Amenza. You're welcome. Thank you, Arab. You're welcome. Okay. Hopeful that today I'm going to have a guest join us on this discussion, and we're talking about something very real, something very sensitive. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're showing up, and I'm hoping that other people join us soonest. Yes, thank you for flashing that love over there. Yeah, thank you. Please, you can do that and use that to make people welcome. All right, yeah, thank you, thank you. Bevan, I see you, you're welcome. All right, this is Love Code with Maisie, and this happens every Wednesday night, well, 9 p.m. Nigerian time. All right, every Wednesday, and we will do this so that we can share values, we can share wisdom, um, we can share information about how to make your marriage work, how to make your relationship work, and that's what we do. And we've been doing this since 2021, and the impact is massive. I mean, I've gotten different feedback from different people, just thanking God for the things they have heard on this platform. All right, so one of the reasons we do this is because there's a lot of wrong information out there. A lot of people don't know what to do. There are people who know what to do but lack the emotional strength and will to do them. That's why we're here. All right. So empower you with knowledge. First things first, knowledge. Then you're able to do what you need to do. Okay. So today, I'm going to have a guest join us. He's already here in the live. He's already here in the room. Um, Eddie, welcome and congratulations again on your publication, master's program. All right. So are you ready? I'm ready. I'm very ready. I'm waiting for my guest to show up. So, if you followed the conversation, someone said that I've really stressed this matter, for a while. That am I not doing it too much? And I said no, that I'm not doing it too much. As a matter of fact, a lot of people are under the influences of things that are traumatic to them. You know. Okay. Oh, Amenza is not having good network where she is. Oh, I wish she could stay and I wish it gets better. All right, every other person you can confirm that you can hear me. Let me just know that from my end it's okay. All right, I'm about to bring in my guests. So let's start all the all the trials. Okay, network, please be kind to us. Please just be kind to us. Okay, thank you, Ade. You can hear me very well. All right, thank you. Whoa. Okay, so I'm trying to bring in my guests. Just bear with me for a bit. Chante, if this is proving difficult, there's one experiment I'll try. Okay, I have accepted your invite to come into the room, so let's wait a bit. If if you don't get in, then I'll try um, sending you an invite myself. Okay, Grateful 007, I see you. How are you doing today? All right. Okay, so Chente, we'll keep trying. I'm seeing a notification that you are unable to join. So hold on, let me try to bring you in this time. Okay, I'm going to send you a request and see if you can accept it and come in. All right. I have one backup plan, Sha. Um, sorry guys, please just bear with us. You know, these things happen.
Hello,
Oh yes.
hello, guys. I am
Yeah,
really excited
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah,
be
yeah.
here.
You're
Really
welcome.
excited. Thank you very much. Really
You're
excited to be
welcome. Thank you very much. Thank
here.
you. So I'll just do a little bit of an introduction and then we'll get into the conversation proper. Is that okay? Excellent. All right, guys. So can you all confirm you can hear myself and my guests clearly? I'll get your comments. Just drop your comments, yeah, and then we'll go ahead. So, like I said, we'll be talking about trauma for a bit, and I was saying how that many people don't even realize anymore that some of their responses to life, their worldview, their perception, their beliefs have been impacted by certain traumas in their lives, and they think they're just okay, but they don't know they've been they've been modified in some form, in their mental, settings, or to accept certain things as normal, to accept certain things as okay. Meanwhile, it was never meant to be. Well, we did all of those conversations in the past week, so I'm not trying to go much into that. But today, we'll be talking about trauma and suicide prevention. Okay, and if you follow global events, you would agree with me. Yesterday was the World Suicide Prevention Day, and I'm glad that there's such a day, dedicated to creating awareness on the subject matter, and sensitizing people to be kind, to show love and to make the world a better place generally. So today we'll be talking about the connection between trauma and suicide. Okay. The end goal, of course, is to help, people with tips on how to prevent suicide. All
Okay.
right. Not just for yourself, but also for your immediate world, for those around you. Okay. So that's basically it. And I have someone here with me. He's a dear friend and a fellow practitioner in this mental health space. He's an emotions doctor, a mental health specialist, and he runs a community called is your office now Chante of Safespace? No, Safe Space, right?
Safe space,
Yeah,
yes.
so he runs that community, and we're happy to have you join us today. You're welcome, Chante.
Thank you very much. I'm really honored to be here. I love when we share our thoughts. I love when we educate this. I'm really honored to be here.
Thank you so much. All right, so just before we jump right into it, I mean, you run a mental health community.
Yeah.
Okay, do you just want to tell us a little bit about that and what inspired you to do that and how important it is in this day and age?
Okay.
What you run, change the post.
Okay. So again, Chinte, I go by the name Chinte of Safespace, emotions doctor, and people ask me, what is Chinte of Safespace, right? It's just simple, Chinte of Safe Space, which is the organization that I have the opportunity to have founded, right? So Safe Space is a mental health NGO, and it was founded because of the compassion I had, or the stigma towards mental health, right? And so because of we face a lot of stigma in in parts of the of the parts of the world that we are, Africa and Nigeria, my country, we face a lot of stigma, and I think it's important that mental health awareness is pushed there. I think it's important that we talk about mental health, we educate people about mental health, we throw the light about mental health. And so basically in Safe Space, what we do, so we are a support group, right? Picture, so I like telling people this because this is basically what the support group is all about. Picture these American movies that you watch where there's a group of people gathered like in a secular form, and this person is saying hi. Okay, so that is mostly alcoholics
Alcoholic, yeah.
anonymous, which is the AA groups, right? But picture
Yeah.
something like this, right? So a round session, an intimate session, something that is connecting, something that is self-liberating, right? So we are a support group. We basically, have conversations that people will not normally have, right? We live in a country that is
Mm.
overwhelming. Everybody is stressed. Everybody is looking for, you understand, like there's so many stressors in our lives, right? And we want to give people an opportunity to be able to talk about their struggles, to be able to, feel safe, feel in a community that understands them, that can connect with them. So that's basically safe space. We're a support group,
Wow.
a mental health organization, and we basically preach mental health.
Excellent. I mean, this is so big, man.
Thank
You
you.
know, and well done for the good work you're doing. All
Thank,
right. Well done.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So today's conversation is about trauma and suicide prevention. Okay. How would you want to introduce the conversation? Like in your own way, how would you want to,
Hmm.
get into
So, relationship between trauma and suicide, or both of them combined.
it?
So
Yeah.
I guess in your you mentioned something about you. I think it was the topic you had earlier, which was trauma, right? Maybe you've broken it down, but just to throw a little bit on trauma, right? On trauma, basically. So this is how I actually define trauma, right? Which is very simple, very relatable. People sometimes use big grammar, PTSD, this one. I feel like, oh my god, it's too much, it's too much.
Yeah,
But I
man.
like
It's simple,
break
yeah.
things down into smaller pieces, and that is what I'm known for, right? Trauma is basically not the event that you went through, but trauma is the effect or the wound that you sustain after an event, right? And so let me use
Yeah.
rape for an example. I know rape is really sensitive, but let me use rape for an example. So somebody as a child or as an adult, you were raped. Rape in and of itself is a bad event, right? But the trauma would be the wound that you sustained after rape, which would be you growing up to not liking anybody, you growing up to not trusting anybody because you feel like every single person would bring back those memories or would do to you the same thing that was done to you, right? So that is the wound, that is the trauma, right? So trauma is not basically the event, right? But it's the after effect or what the event did to you, what the event left inside you, right? And so when we are
Mm.
talking about trauma as relation to suicide, I think it's really important to understand that most of the times we are shaped by what has happened to us. Our ideas, the way we live our life is basically how we grew up, how we're wired, and our trauma, what has happened to us. So imagine you growing up in a home where you have been constantly told that you're not that you've been constantly invalidated. You've been told that
Yeah.
you're a problem child or you're an unwanted child, right? Imagine growing up in a home where you've been disregarded, your opinions or your feelings or your ideas have not been regarded, and so you grow up feeling like I'm not worth it, right? You grow up feeling like you're
Yeah.
not valid. You grow up feeling like you're not enough. Imagine what can do to you, what that can do to you as an adult. You don't want to exist because it's from the roots, right? You do not feel like existing because they've
Yeah.
told you constantly that you are not worth it, that you are not enough, that you don't belong in this world, right? And so that is the relationship between trauma and suicide. Your traumatic event can lead you to feel like you don't think you might want to keep going on this earth, right? So
Wow.
again, it might not be childhood trauma, it can be a lot of things. I mean, I use rape as an example. Imagine being raped, right? And you grow up feeling like you are dirty, like you've been defiled, like there's a part of you that has taken, and so you do not want to keep living anymore because there's a part of you that you feel like is shattered. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. And thank you so much for that introduction. As you were saying that, some things were coming to mind. I feel like there are different stages in this thing. First of all, that event, that unpleasant, that terrifying,
Mm-hmm.
that terrible event that brings its own heartbreak, its own
Exactly.
disappointment, you
Exactly.
know, especially when maybe it is someone who, citing the same example you used, maybe it's someone whom there's supposed to be some level of trust and
Yes.
regard for, and then out of nowhere you see this unpleasant behavior, and then before you know it, this person is forcing themselves on you, So it's first, this is disappointing, it's shattering, it does something to your self-esteem, and then I feel like if immediately after that event, maybe you were able to cry out and the justice was served to the person, was arrested, imprisoned, or whatever was the judgment that followed that kind of behavior. Maybe there could have been some respite, right?
Exactly.
Maybe it could have felt better. But then we see some things that follow. First of all, you can't even talk about it because maybe when you bring it up, someone says, "But what were you doing in his house, by the way? You know, why did
Mm-hmm.
you wear a skirt? Should have worn a jean trouser." And then some people don't even want to. Perhaps it's even in your own house, and it's somebody who came to stay with your family. And you don't know how to tell your parents that that's your uncle. See what uncle is doing. When you guys went out yesterday, see what uncle did. Because in some cases, you even try to speak, and then again, they shut you up and they hold you responsible.
Yes.
So, first, there's the event that happened, there's the disappointment, and then the fact that you cannot even express it. So, you're forced to bottle it up.
Very true.
And then in some cases, maybe there's even a threat that if you talk, you suffer. You can't let anybody know this, so I'll stop paying your school fees, or I'll push you out of the house, and
And
then there is that.
no,
Well,
no. Um, there's a thought that I caught when you were saying, which is not wanting to talk about it. Like there's a suppression. Maybe it can be
yeah,
shame because you'll be shamed for it, right? But now
exactly.
there's something that I have actually seen people talk about. I mean, we've heard some examples of people that may have been essayed, they've been raped, they've been sexually assaulted, that they are coming back years and years and years after to talk about their trauma. And you
Yeah.
hear people say things like, why did this person bring up this thing now?
Why now? Yeah.
Why now? First of all, people need to understand that there is something called PTSD, right? So now, okay, we've talked about trauma, right? The other end of it is
Yeah.
PTSD. And what is even PTSD, right? PTSD is now when that trauma is affecting your ability to function properly, right? So
That's right.
again,
Yeah.
just like I said, you have been essayed, you've been raped, right? And now you do not feel like you can trust anybody. And the truth is that in life, you actually have to trust people. So imagine growing up and not
Yeah.
trusting anybody and not feeling like you can commit to anything, and not, that is now actually PTSD, meaning that it's affecting the way that you function as a normal human being. Now, that aside, let's talk about the people that come in years later to address their trauma. There is a form of healing when it comes to trauma where you have to address what actually puts you in trauma. Sometimes people call it to find closure, right? Because closure can bring you to at least to a form of healing. Knowing that at least, even if you cannot do anything as at the time that you raised it up, that person will get some form of justice. There's a healing that comes to you, right?
Yeah.
And so when people talk about why is this person now speaking up now, I mean, there was a case of rape between, I think, what's his name, somebody's wife and a big pastor, right? And during that time, it felt like there were a lot of hands against the woman, saying that, why do you talk about your trauma? Why do you bring it now? Why now you want to attack the man and everything? Whether that event was true or not, right? People need to understand that there is a part of healing trauma where you have to address the issue, where you have to go back and confront what caused you that
And
trauma, because
confront
it
that
brings
thing.
some
Yeah.
form of healing to you. right? So it might not have
Yeah.
healed the wound that you had already sustained, but just addressing it and confronting it and making sure that at least this person, even sometimes it might even be talking about it. It might be saying you hurt me like this. It can bring some form of healing. Sometimes it might mean that you want that person to apologize. Sometimes it can mean that you actually want that person to feel the weight of what you went through. Meaning that if the person has to
Yeah.
go through some form of law or some form of punishment just for you to feel safe, you feel seen, you feel heard. Yeah.
Yeah. And then by the time all of that is not happening, and then there is that shame, it starts building, it starts affecting the person's self-esteem, and they're feeling like maybe I'm worthless, maybe I'm good for
Exactly.
nothing, maybe I only attract terrible things into my life, and all of that
Hmm.
negative self-talk starts happening. You see, I believe that it is when they get to levels like that it becomes easier to start thinking what's there anyway.
What's next?
What's
Exactly.
life? What's the
Is
big
life
deal?
even worth
You
it? What am I
Yeah,
living for? What am I
yeah, exactly.
existing for? Exactly.
Yeah. So I think significantly, almost every suicide, I mean a good percentage of it will be linked to trauma, will be linked to
Mm-hmm.
depression because they're all in the same chain, you
Very
know.
true.
Trauma, depression, and at the end of the day, they just feel like what's it worth, man? Maybe they should just end it all, you know. Um, I mean, what do you have to say about people who think suicide is the best option, the last option? What do you have to say about that?
So I think sometimes it can be overwhelming. What we might be struggling with can be really overwhelming to the point where people feel like what I can do as at this point is to take my own life, right? And I think when it comes to that, it depends on the perspective on what the person is saying, and that is why it's important that we do not invalidate anybody's experiences, right? We do not invalidate what people are going through, because you, on the other hand, you are thinking that what is this person going through, or I might have gone through the same thing. Why is this? Do you understand? This is not. But people need to understand that no two persons go through the same thing in the same way, right? And
That's
so I
very
think it's
true.
important to understand that if you feel like suicide is the best option for you, I think it's a call to think again, knowing that there is always light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes people are so stuck, they feel like the world is about to come to an end. They feel so engrossed in their world that they can't see that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And sometimes you might need somebody's help to pull you through and show you that there's actually light at the end of the tunnel, right? So
That's so true.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's about perspective, right? You feel like you're stuck. Sometimes you might need somebody to show you another perspective and say, okay, you're thinking like this. Why don't you shift your thinking and see it in this other way?
Wow. Wow. That is so true. Different things are just
Coming
running through my mind, but
through
let me
your
keep
head.
it. Yeah. So when you what would you say are some of the tell signs that somebody may be slipping into some kind of depressive mode? All right. What are the things that you can notice in someone's behavior? And you say, perhaps you want to ask more questions. Just how you ask everybody, how are you? And the natural answer is fine, right? I think there was this movie, I can't remember which it was it Desperate Housewives or so, where a lady passed her neighbor or her friend on the alley and was like, hey, how are you? And he was like, oh, fine. And then just went into the house, and the next thing the lady heard was a gunshot. Boom, she had
Hmm.
blown her head off. But you just said fine, right? So, as people who are trying to be intentional, and who are looking out for other people out there in the world, what are the kind of things that we can notice, and it will let us know that perhaps this person needs some talking to, some encouragement, some hope, right? What are those early signs that could be leading to depression, perhaps?
So I'm going to okay. Um, so I think it's important to understand that depression, the signs of depression are different for every single person, right? So
Okay.
sometimes people, do you understand? So sometimes people think that this person must exhibit some some outline signs before they know that this person can be struggling. Somebody can be sad and be depressed, and another person can be playful and be happy, but that person is actually struggling, right?
That's very
But
true.
these are the common signs of depression. Number one would be changes in your sleep patterns, right? So so it happens whether it happens in a low or a high mood, right? It's either you're sleeping too much or you're sleeping too less now, right? You're always constantly thinking about something, so you don't even have the time to actually sleep. It's either you're sleeping too much, you want to just drown yourself and not wake up and not have to face reality, or it's either you're sleeping too less, meaning that there's so much that you're thinking about that you can't actually take enough rest. Sometimes it
Yeah.
can be eating too much or eating too less, right? It can be
Hmm.
eating too much or eating too less. So basically, it's a it's a either or it's a low or it's a high, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's something to actually look out for, right? If you see changes in people's sleep pattern, in people's eating pattern, it's something to actually take note of. Another one can be constant negative thoughts, so or negative thoughts or negative self-talk. So you see somebody that is always thinking negative, like you, again, you know the kind of person that you are. There are people that are normally naturally negative. They don't see anything positive about themselves. They are always, do you
Yeah.
understand? But I think it's about knowing your person and knowing who this person is. If you know that this person is not a negative person, he's not always talking about negativity or it's not, but you know that constantly he has been engaging in negative self-talk. He has always been, talking about his either death or talking or saying that I'm not worth it, I don't feel like life is worth it. Do you understand? Like these are the things to actually take note of, right? Another one can be isolation.
Oh, yeah.
Not, and the reason so the reason I'll always say that this is different for different people is that you know your partner well, you know your wife, you know your husband, you know your boyfriend, you know your girlfriend well, you know who they are. Again, there are people that normally they know they like go outside on a normal. They don't do you understand? They don't like to mix with people, right? But you know
Yeah.
the extent of your partner's social battery, right? You know the point where they can come out, you know where their social battery stops, you know when they have to stay inside, right? I think it's something
Hmm.
to look out for. When you see that maybe somebody, your partner that was always outgoing, all of a sudden starts isolating themselves. They do not want to
Wow.
talk to anybody. They do not want to uh, be in a space with anybody. They just want to lock themselves inside and wallow in their
Yeah.
pain, regardless. Do you understand? So I think it's something to take note of. Again, you have to know the person that you're reaching out to in depthly before you can say that this
Yeah.
person may be struggling. And the last one that I'm going to say is self harm, right? Self harm or suicidal
Hmm.
thoughts. So you see somebody that may be engaging in self-harm, you see somebody that may be having suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideations happen in two ways, right? There is the passive ideations and there is the active ideations. What this just means is that the active one is when somebody is constantly talking about suicide, right? They are constantly talking about wanting to die, life is not worth it, or they are even trying to make an attempt, right? They are putting themselves in harm's way. They are always doing something that would at least be a danger to their own life. They are always
Something
putting
very
themselves in a
risky.
place
Yeah.
where they can be in danger, right? They are talking about how they don't want to keep living and all of that. Now, the passive one are people that they say it in a passing, what am I even living for? They are not actively saying it, but they are saying it in passing. Like, what am I even living for? What's the worthness of life, right? Some it can be that if somebody is actually in a not so safe environment, they wouldn't do anything to protect themselves. I mean, as human beings, we normally should be able to run away from danger. We should know when there is danger and we should run away. But somebody that may have some passive suicidal ideations, when he's in that place of danger, he would not really want to do anything to save himself. You understand? Like he would
Hmm.
not really want to put himself or try to look for a way. I need to run from danger because they don't care. Another example would be, you know that there are some illness that, I mean, they might be severe, but if you actually fight it, you're going to, I mean, if you're determined that you're going to overcome this sickness, you're definitely going to scale through, right? But somebody
That's
that
true.
may have some passive suicidal ideations, right? They might not want to be, have signs of recovery. Do you understand? They will just want
Yeah.
anything. They might not want to actively take their own life, but in a passive way, they are open to it.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow. Wow. As you made that point now, something came to mind where there's a portion of the Bible that says a man's strong spirit
Very
sustains him in
true.
sickness, but a crushed spirit who can bear, So on a typical day, maybe that person is full of high optimism, they're always going for better, for the best, always hopeful, always excited. They have this pump and this energy towards life. And then all of a sudden you just see that they're indifferent.
Very
Like they just don't
true.
care. Like whatever, and there's that they become indifferent about everything. I think that's a good time to call that person closer and say, what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, and also for you to actually think, for you to actually feel like, okay, this person might be struggling, you might have actually noticed this sign for a consistent period of time.
Oh
you
yes. Oh
you
yeah.
don't see the signs for like 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and you be like, this person might be struggling with depression. No. So sometimes
Hmm.
people just want to lock themselves inside and not go out. I'm stressed. Let me just rest. Sometimes people don't
Yeah.
want to eat much. Sometimes people want to sleep the whole day. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people want to eat everything that they see, right? So you have to have noticed this sign at least 2 weeks,
Two
at
weeks.
least
Yeah.
2 weeks, 2 consistent weeks, and you'd be like,
Yeah.
okay, I think it's something to really look out for.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's so true. I also remembered one or two things. People who were not previously highly irritable, and then later they start every little thing is pissing them off. They're always on the edge,
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like once people start noticing major switches in people's typical demeanor and personality and character, and like you have said, not just that it was overnight or 1 day, 2 days, but you've observed that for a period, of about 2 weeks or thereabouts, this person has consistently taking a different turn from what
Yeah.
you're used to. I think it's about a good time to pay some more attention and show them some love and kindness, and maybe just an ear that they can, a listening ear perhaps,
Very
to hear
true.
out what they may be going through. So now that said, yesterday there was this video you did, and it was very it was a great one, telling people how to show kindness to people and stuff like that, right? So now let's say that in our immediate environment, there's somebody we've identified. Maybe I see this young guy, I see this young lady, just looking like they're hopeless and looking like there's no energy for life anymore, stuff like that. What are some of the things we can do to help people, to show them that there's hope, to what are some of those practical ways we can help prevent um, um,
Suicide.
suicidal thoughts? Yeah.
Okay. So, uh, fun fact: there is this thing I call the ABC of suicide prevention. Right. I put it in a. I try to box a lot of prevention in ABC. The ABC of
Okay.
suicide prevention. I think the video is also on my page, so you can go and watch it. People that are here can go and watch it. So, firstly, A, acknowledgement. I had spoke a little bit about it earlier, but let me expound on it. Acknowledgement. It is true that we live in a country where we glorify suffering. Hey God. It be like say na like you want to do competition. Not be you suffer pass. Now me suffer pass. Hey, you don't have this one have
na
done
my
it.
own na my own bad pass.
Now
You only
no,
learn.
Baba, you never even go through half of everything I don't go through, right? And I
Yeah.
think when it comes to suicidal thoughts or the prevention of suicide, I think acknowledgement goes a long way. Because when people feel like, or when people feel validated, when you validate somebody else's experience, it gives them at least some form of hope. So I
That's right.
think acknowledgement goes a long way. We live in a country that if you tell people your struggles, the next thing is, you're not even going to have what I've gone through. When I and they make you feel bad in the way where you'll be like, when I was going through this your same thing, suicide did not cross my mind at all. I did not even think of suicide. Now just normal thing where everybody they go through. And people forget to understand that what you went through, yes, it might be true, you went through the same thing, but we go through things differently, right? I might not be as,
Mm.
I might not be as resilient as you did. I might not have the support that you even had when you were going through the same thing. So
So,
acknowledge people's feelings. Acknowledge it.
wow.
You see, you might have gone through it, but you don't know how it feels in their own shoes until you wear it. Even if you have worn it, it's not still your leg that is inside, it's another person's leg. Acknowledge their feelings. When we acknowledge people's feelings, people just in a way they can feel safe that this person at least is not trying to invalidate me or tell me that I don't know what I'm feeling. Acknowledge
Mm.
acknowledge people's feelings will go a long way in preventing suicide, because I mean the reason why sometimes people go ahead to attempt suicide is because they've told other people and they're like, you're not even going to, I beg, it's not your own that was bad. And so they're like, they even feel bad for feeling bad. They feel bad because
Mm.
they're already feeling like that they feel overwhelmed, because they feel like overwhelmed is something that they should man up, they should take on. So people now feel bad because of their feeling bad. So like it's even double wahala, it's double stress on yourself, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think acknowledging people's feelings goes a long way. Just acknowledge it. Acknowledge it, right? You don't
Like
know
you
what they are
don't need
going
to
through. Stop saying
understand
that
it.
you understand. Stop saying that you
Yeah,
understand. You don't understand.
you don't. Yeah.
Now, B would be supportive. And support goes in a long way, right? Support
Mm.
can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. Support can mean you showing up for them. Support can mean you giving them space. Support can mean you asking them, what are the things that I can do to help you feel at least a little bit better? Right? This is
Yeah.
support. Support is different when you know your person, you know how they like being loved, you know how they like being cherished, you know how they like being spoken to, right? Support is different things, right? It means sometimes you showing some kindness, knowing that people are going through a lot and you might not understand what they feel, but it's okay that you don't understand, right? But look
Mm.
for ways that you can help them. Sometimes it means giving them space, right? Just taking a little back, let them process whatever they are processing, and when they are ready to talk, do you understand? Support can mean not you not pressuring them to speak up. Sometimes people are not ready to speak whatever they might be
Yeah.
going through, right? So
Yeah. True.
support can just mean you just being patient with them, you just waiting for them for when they are able to talk to you, right? Again, another way support can mean is you asking them, what are the things that I can do for you to make you feel a little bit lighter? So that is
Mm.
B, be supportive, and C would be call for help. We live in a country where mental health has been shamed, right? People with mental health issues have been shamed. But I want to tell you today that there is no shame in asking for help. In fact,
True.
in fact, there is strength in vulnerability, because vulnerability means that you acknowledge that you might need help. And not everybody has the
Mm.
power to do that. Not everybody has
Mm.
the power to say that I need help or I'm struggling, right? So vulnerability in and of itself, it's a lot of strength. Not everybody can reach out for help. People are doing man up, man up. You want to Odogu, the emperor, the conqueror, everything is here. See, it's okay. Vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. It has never been a sign of
Exactly.
weakness. Call for help, right? It's okay that you may not even understand how you feel, right? But there are people that are there that can help you. There is psychotherapists, there's therapists, there's counselors that can actually help you Sometimes even speaking up to sometimes even speaking up to your loved ones can even open a way, right? Because they might just be in a position to help you reach out
Yeah.
for help, right? So you don't know, but share your problems, talk to people. There is strength. Somebody said, House of Good said, yes, there is strength. There is strength in vulnerability. It's never a sign of weakness. There are people out there that can support you. So open your mouth and talk, right? Open your mouth and talk. And people need to understand that there is no shame in asking for help. Everybody struggles. Because of they do not write it on
Everybody.
our head, do not mean that we are struggling. Everybody struggles, right? There is no shame in actually asking for help. And struggling doesn't mean that you're failing. Struggling is part of the human experience, right? Sometimes
That's
we don't
it.
know something, sometimes we struggle, right? But reach out for help when you feel overwhelmed. There is strength in vulnerability. So that is the
That's it.
ABC of suicide prevention. So A,
Man, that is so
again,
beautiful.
acknowledge both.
Acknowledge.
B,
Yeah.
be supportive, and C, call
Supportive.
for help. Very simple.
Wow. Wow. This is very basic. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing.
No.
Another thing is, sometimes because of how tough maybe economically things are in our part of the world, it looks like everybody someone says everybody decrease. Like everybody nowhere. Like everyone is always on the state of hyper and aggression and things like that. And sometimes you see someone posts online like, "Oh, I'm suffering. Things are really bad for me. Sometimes I consider just taking my life." And then when you go to the replies, your
Hmm.
heart will literally sink. You know,
God.
because you hear people say things like, you're still here, you're still buying data, and yeah, don't you know what to do? People even start saying all kinds of things, like RIP, people just start saying, what do you have to say about us being kind generally, like to people?
See, guys, every single time I am called to speak on kindness, right? I try to put myself, or I try to ask myself this, and because at the end of the day, it's about introspection. It's about you asking yourself, because we think other people be kind, but we don't know that kindness will actually start from us, right? Kindness goes a long way. What if you knew that the thing that you say can actually make somebody go and kill themselves, or can even give somebody strength to actually keep going? It's true. We don't know the type of day that people are having. Something like get out of bed can actually make somebody hang themselves
Actually,
or do something
mhm.
drastic. You don't know what
Yeah,
people are struggling with. And I tell people, if you understood that a small act of compassion or act of kindness, or just you saying, I know that you may be struggling and it's okay. It's okay to struggle sincerely. Just you being kinder with the words that you actually say, right? Not putting it too much on people, not trying to put pressure on people. It can go a long way than you can imagine. Kindness is something that we as human beings need to actually tap. It's an emotion that we need to
oh,
embrace. Kindness is like it does so much, right? It does so much than we can actually imagine, right? And
yeah.
and so we're even talking about kindness to every single person. I think another type of kindness that we should also talk about is kindness to ourselves, because sometimes we
Oh,
struggle, right? We
oh
struggle. We
yeah,
are so hard
oh
on
yeah,
ourselves, right?
oh
We put
yeah,
a lot
man.
of pressure. We put a lot of, oh my God. In fact, I tell people that, oh, somebody said kindness to yourself first, which I am telling you. So we see, there's one thing for people to put pressure on you, and there's one thing to carry that pressure and now put on your head and carry it on your head. Most of the
Yeah,
times, it's us that put those pressure on ourselves, right?
true.
Be kind to yourself. It's okay to struggle. Don't take it
Ah,
upon yourself like you did something. Struggling is part
hmm.
of the human experience. Almost everybody that have made it, they have struggled with one thing or the other. And you don't even know because they
Oh
are still struggling, right? Not in the way that you
oh,
are, but
yeah,
they are still
oh
struggling,
yeah,
right? Be
oh
kind to
yeah.
other people, and most importantly, be kinder to yourself. be kind to
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Know that sometimes I would not get it right. Sometimes I would fail. Sometimes I would, you understand? I would try
Man,
and try and try and try again, but I would not get it right. It's okay. It's okay,
it's
guys.
okay,
It's
man. It's
okay.
okay to feel
It's
sometimes.
okay. This life is a
Yeah,
process. It's literally a
it
process.
is.
It's step by step. You definitely get there. But before you get there, practice self-compassion and self-kindness to yourself.
Wow, this is really empowering. You know, it's very empowering. There are people who hold themselves to such high levels of performance that
Very true.
any tiny shortcoming, they feel like, oh, the world is collapsing. I just remember something a bit on the comic side, right? So if you remember back then in secondary school, when maybe one very hard course, and maybe secondary or university, there's always that Kefiko in class. There's always that one that's and then there's some people going on, do you understand? Then everyone is complaining that, man, this course, was really hard. If I can just get a C or a D, man, and even an E self, as long as it's not an F, like I'm okay. Do you understand? And boys are just taking consolation in their E and their D. And then there's this Efiko who's so sad. Maybe she's even crying, like, oh, and everybody's like, hey, yeah, maybe she feels too. And then you're going to encourage her that don't worry, we're
And
all
the
in the
best that
same boat,
result that probably she got B. Now them, now them, now them. I know them. There are plenty. Now them. You that even got E, you now be like, see they do this one.
Why this one? And when you hear how bad, and they really feel bad, Now the thing is, some of those people take that kind of behavior on beyond primary school or secondary school,
Yeah.
and they continue like that through life. You always see them beating themselves, too much when things don't add up, and I feel like people like that, in fact, of course, as therapists, when you probe further, you start seeing reasons why they
Yes.
even behave like that, as a matter of fact, with psychodynamics, But then, I feel like people like that need to learn that, these things you're saying right now, you need to be compassionate on yourself.
Yeah.
You are a human being. You are not
I
spirit.
noticed.
You're not an angel. You are human. Anytime you feel like you made a mistake or you didn't measure up, just look at yourself, and as long as you're still in this skin, you tell yourself, yes, that's what we do
Very,
as humans.
very
We
true.
make mistakes. Do
Make
you understand? Like when
mistakes. It's
you
okay. It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah, so that it can help you feel kinder to yourself, and then when you're able to even understand this to some extent, it's easier to even administer this help to other people
Very
whom you see
true.
struggling like more struggle. So thank you for bringing that dimension of kindness to self.
No.
It's big deal, and a lot of people need to pay attention to this. All right, and it will take away all of that self-defeatism, that judgment, that negative self-talk. It will take away all of that because right now you're telling yourself that yes, I made a mistake, but who doesn't? I made a mistake, but thank God I realized it, so it means I can move on.
Very
And I think that's just quite empowering. If anyone on the live session if you have a question or a comment, feel free to drop it, so we can take it just before we sign out. Thank you, Koti, for bringing in the live and contributions as always. Yeah. So if there's any question, please feel free to drop it in there. So in closing, Chinte, what encouragement, what word do you have for the listeners?
Hmm. So again, I'm going to say that it's okay to struggle. Struggling doesn't mean that you're feeling, guys.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're feeling. Struggling doesn't mean that you're feeling. Everybody struggles. It's part of the human experience. Self-kindness goes a long way. Goes
Hmm.
a long way to help you understand that it's part of the human experience, and it's not just only me that is feeling this way, right? There are a lot of people that are also struggling, right? And most importantly, I think it's important for every single one of us here to actually practice self-care, right? Self-care. You cannot always show up for everybody. You
Mm.
cannot always you cannot always be there for every single person. And that
Yeah.
is actually okay. You cannot always show up for anybody. Take time and actually rest. Take time
Oh.
and be more compassionate to yourself, right? Guys, you
Mm.
need see again. We talk about us actually giving to people, us actually being more kinder to people, but you have to understand that you would not take care, or another person will not take care of you like how you would take care of yourself. So I think it's really important for us to practice self-care, knowing that we are first important. We matter, right? Our
Mm.
mental health matters, our life matters, whatever we think actually matters. And so take care of yourself, right? You cannot satisfy every single person. Take out time, set your own boundaries. And the funny thing about boundaries is that boundaries are not meant for people to like. I'm so sorry, don't come for me. But your
Mm-hmm.
boundaries are your limits, right? It's not meant for people to like it. People do not have to like your boundaries. But what they have
Yeah.
to do is to respect your boundaries. They do not have to like your boundaries, but they have to respect it. Right?
That's
So
so.
it's about you setting a boundary and making sure that nobody crosses the line so that you can have time for yourself, so that you can be more in touch with yourself, so that boundaries are just you saying, this is how I want us to relate, or this is how we can actually be best of friends. This is how we can actually move together or work together. It's not you telling everybody no, right? It's you saying your limit. I cannot cross this place because, once I cross this place, it's going to be hard for us to actually communicate, right? So I think self care is important. Set boundaries, rest when you need to. Rest when you need to, guys. You cannot show up for everybody. Set your time, set everything, like know when to rest, know when to take screen break. This Instagram that we are always going through, know when to take screen breaks, because you're feeding your mind a lot of information and you're seeing a lot of pressure. I'm sure a lot of young people have been under pressure because of social media, right? You are seeing a lot of things. You are seeing people in their, you are seeing people posting their bands. You that is just 25 years old, you have not even done anything with your life. You want to buy bands. You're just coming out of university. How? Somebody that has put over 20 years plus of his life working, and you're under pressure
Yeah.
because of you saw the result of that. Plus, they're not even telling you some of their processes. They're not telling you how they even
Oh,
used to get to all those things that they are getting. So sometimes take a break, take a chill pill, right? Rest from Insta
that's
blog.
right.
You want to feed yourself with all the negative news. This one, Insta blog. This one, Casala don bust. This one, gossip. Take a break and breathe. You deserve rest. Limit, close
Mm.
eyes, sleep, read books, call the people that you love, connect with people, go outside, take a walk, see nature, spend time, eat good food. Do you understand? Like, just take care of yourself. Self care is really important, guys. Look after yourself because
Yeah.
nobody will look after you like how you would look after yourself.
Thank you so much. That is very spot on. Some people don't know that taking a walk is therapeutic. Some people don't know that just going to observe nature, the grass, the lizards, the animals, the ocean, the rivers, the waves, the wind, and everything. Some people don't know that that is actually therapeutic exercise. All right. Also, taking a walk, dancing, just taking charge of your environment and doing things that give you that inner peace and that excitement and that satisfaction. Of course, we're talking about healthy things. In fact, I forgot to ask this question. I was going to bring it. There was a song that trended one time. I don't know much of it, but the first line just caught me. And the person said, "I've been taking alcohol for some days. Did you check on me?" So you see people who are going through a lot, they feel like the way to manage that a lot is to go and add substance.
Can you
For some,
imagine?
cigarettes, for some, weed, for some, um, alcohol, and all the everything in that category of substance use. Please, before we go, can you say something about that? Are they helping themselves really? or are they just setting themselves up for more trouble?
So when it comes to substance use, sometimes people use it as a form of coping mechanism, right? And so because of I don't want to feel the weight of my pain, I'm trying to drown myself so that I don't feel the weight of my pain, right? So people are using alcohol to dance a lot of issues. See, the thing is that no same person that life is working out for them would want to invest in alcohol, trying to, do you understand? So sometimes people actually use it as a form of coping mechanism, right? So I'm going through so much stress. I don't think about it. I don't have money. I don't have this. And you're trying to just at least give yourself some little bit of run away from your problems, right? But the thing is that
Yeah,
those problems are still there. You're trying to run away from it. When your 2 hours highness go, you still come back to meet that same
come
pain
back
at
to
that
it.
same
Yeah,
time. And so what now happens is that because of you always want to run away and want to drown yourself, it turns to addiction, right? So you want
mm,
to always take it because
yeah,
you don't want to be caught off guard. You don't want your problems to meet you in the face and be like, how far? Do you understand? So you are now addicted because you're always taking it, right? I think that is not a
mm-hmm.
good way. It's not a good coping mechanism, right? Alcohol does more damage. Drugs does more damage to your body than you can actually think of, guys. Find more coping mechanisms. Find other coping. There are healthier coping mechanisms that you can engage with, right? There is journaling, right? There is there is confrontation, right? There is you actually confronting your problem, addressing it, trying to process it, trying to understand what is this that I'm facing. How do I look for ways to navigate what I might be facing, right? You do not always have to run away from it because at the end of the day, those problems are still there and they're going to still
Yeah,
meet you whenever that highness comes up. So again, there are better coping mechanisms that you can use to have a better life, to cope with whatever you might be. Everybody is struggling,
yeah,
right? The difference between
yeah,
me that might be facing my problems and you is the difference between our coping mechanism. You might want to drown yourself, but I'm actually facing it the right way, right? I'm bringing up ideas. What can I do to achieve this? I'm processing my feelings better, right? I'm trying to get more in touch with myself, right? I'm trying to understand why I might be feeling this way. I'm trying to look for active solutions to solve my problem. I'm not trying to run away from it. I'm not trying to drown myself, not to think about it. I am facing it head on. That
yeah,
is a good coping strategy, not alcohol. It
yeah.
does more harm than it does good. It might be giving you some form of relief, some form of satisfaction, but in the long run,
Just
you're going to
temporary.
suffer the
Mhm.
consequences.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Thank you so much for chipping that in. And then still on those healthy coping mechanisms, some of those things, I just want to reiterate that some of those things we said before are some of it. Taking a walk out there in nature,
Exactly.
reading a book, a good book, even watching comedy skits, like just watch things that make you
Exactly.
laugh, you know. Yeah, watch your
Setting
favorite
boundaries for
comedy show.
yourself.
Yeah, those are healthier things to do than than
Drowning
um
yourself with the effects.
I didn't get that, sorry.
I said, than drowning yourself with
Oh yeah,
alcohol just to,
yeah.
give you some
So
some
substance
kind of
is a
effect.
no-no.
Yeah, so
Yeah, substance is a no-no for people who think life is treating them bad and they're going through a lot. Substance is a no-no. That's not the time to take cigarette. That's not the time to take alcohol. It's a no-no. It does you nothing good, as a matter of
very
fact.
true.
Nothing good at the time. Nothing good. The relief it gives is just temporal,
Very
but
true.
after that relief comes even more
Very
weight of the problem. So I just wanted to. Someone says, "What to talk about Jerry?" Oh yes, I mean
Sincerely, or what
that's
this
so
what
true.
I Telemundo. This their Telemundo.
What happens in
I know someone that she doesn't
Telemundo?
joke with her Telemundo. Any single time
I
she stressed
see.
like this, she offs her phone, off
Just like what
everything,
is that?
focus on her film, laugh and laugh and laugh. The next day she will confront whatever issue. It's a
Oh
beautiful
yes,
coping strategy. It is
yes. Even the ability to have a good sleep.
very true.
Yeah, when it just looks like the world wants to drop, just go and lie down, sleep, sleep, sleep first. Sleep, wake
Very
up, sleep again.
I'm
Just
telling
have a
you.
good rest. Because again, what that does is, sleeping helps you to take in deep breath over a long time. And that slows down, the nervous system and brings some calm generally, to the body. So even a good sleep can be something that can help somebody feel better.
Very true.
Anyway, thank you so much for your time, Chente. Someone was asking earlier, what's the name of the guest? His name is Chente, Chente. Charlie Hotel Echo was N, and then Chente, basically. All
Chante,
right, so
emotions
I'll drop your
doctor.
handle. Yeah, emotions doctor. Let me see. I want to drop your handle. Anyway, just type Chante of Safespace and you see
Okay.
him. I don't think there are two Chantes. I don't
Okay.
think there are two Chantes. You're the only Chante
Yes, just type Chinte emotions doctor. I'll pop out on your screen. No, nobody is dragging my Chinte with me anyway.
All right, nice one. Thank you very much. And it's been
You're
a great
welcome.
time. I learned a lot and found strength also. And I hope that someone listening to this or watching this video later on will be able to find strength in the answers that you have given.
Yeah.
Let me do a very quick recap. There's the ABC of suicide prevention you spoke about. One is acknowledge. All right. It goes both ways. If you're the one feeling somehow, acknowledge how you're feeling. If someone is talking to you and they're just saying, see how my boss shouted at me in the office, I feel like just taking my life.
Very
Don't
true.
dismiss it. Acknowledge it. Okay, validate it. All right, don't dismiss it. Okay, because it's hitting them differently. Don't say, you don't even know what I went through. It's more like I tell you the things that they did to you. No, don't do that. Acknowledge. All right. And then you also talked about be supportive. Being supportive is both, to yourself, like we shared about being kind to yourself, and then to the other person, in the case where it is somebody else who's around you. We said that support can also mean just asking them, what can I do for you? In what way can I help? Sometimes if they want their space, you can actually just allow them, sometimes if whatever it is, shall find a way to support and be there. Like what I mean be there, I mean you're supporting consciously, not like let's say no
Yeah.
one. And you say no one, then you just disappear.
Be
You
intentional
say yeah,
about
fine,
it.
that's not it. So somehow still check on them. And then you also talked about call for help, and I think that's a big deal. And this is one area where I feel like everybody, please, when things are above you or you feel overwhelmed in your emotions or what circumstances, please have at least one person that you can reach out to. This is very
Very
important. And in sometimes young people, teenagers are actually trained to have that one, two, three people that they can call when things are really bad. I mean, I think it's a good practice. For some of them, the numbers are even written and put in their wallet, put in their bag, so that even if somebody sees you, they can help, reach out to those people. Right? It's very important that you have people in your life that you can reach out to when you're in need. Okay, now it's one thing to have those people, but it's another thing for you to be willing and vulnerable enough to say, hey, I need help. All right,
very
call for help, call for support. All right, and then you also be that for someone else. Are there people in your space who consider you a lifeline, who consider that I know if I call Chente, he's going to help me. I know if I call Kuti, she's going to be there for me. Are there people in your space who also consider you a lifeline and such a valuable person? I think it's high time people start being intentional about being there for people in their space. All right. In fact, by just being there for other people, it can even alleviate your own feelings of depression and sadness, as a
true.
matter of fact. Oh, yes. And that is why one of the things we tell people sometimes is go and look for acts of kindness to do for other people. Go and volunteer
Go and
with an
volunteer.
outreach.
Yeah.
Yeah, go volunteer with an outreach. Go and find something to give back to other people, to support other people. By so doing, it even helps you, to forget, or as it were, not just forget, but it brings down your own issues from that high place where you have kept it that is making you feel like you're helpless. It just helps you reduce it, and you even see that, man. your life is even valuable to other people, because when you were helping other people, they were grateful. They were telling you thank you. You see, they were really appreciating. That old piece of cloth you think you bought it 2 years ago, you can't wear it anymore. You will give it to somebody and they will be so grateful. And they'll say a prayer for you morning, afternoon, night. When they see you tomorrow, they'll tell you thank you for yesterday. When they see you next week, they'll tell you thank you for last week. That's how they used to say it in Yoruba. Then they'll be thanking you for last year, all of that. But what that does for you is that it even helps you to know that you're valuable to people. All right, so let me just stop there for now, and I hope that this words will sink in the hearts of the hearers. Thank you so much, Chante, again. We'll be signing out right now.
You're
Till when
welcome.
next week?
So so I guess that this is going to be shared, right? It's
Yes.
going to be shared. Okay, okay. I would also want to, like, you can collaborate with me and then we post it on
Oh,
my.
yes.
No
I'll do
problem.
that. I'll
This
do
was a
that.
beautiful time and I loved it. I
Yeah,
loved it. Yeah.
thank you very
Have a
much. Have a
great
wonderful
day.
rest of
Have a
the
great
day.
day, everyone.
Yeah,
Bye.
you too, man. Everyone, see you guys. Bye. See you again next week, Wednesday, along with Maisie. Bye for now.